G'day and welcome to my garage. I've got a piece of plywood in here to protect the screw, and off we go. Oh, how far are we? Not far to go now. Okay, that will do for the moment. I'll decide whether I'm going to punch all the way through or not later. Okay, you're in the way.
Give that a flush out.
Now what I didn't think of when I did this first one was, does this tap fit through? So I can do the first bit of lead-in and that was it. My hands are slippery this morning because of the hand cream I've put on, which I don't put on enough, but at least I did this morning. Well, often enough, I should say. I've still got cracks in my fingers from not doing the right thing 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Back in those days we used to wash a lot in solvents and petrol. I worked a lot on petrol trucks, the English, the British, Austin, Bedfords, and the American Dodge and International. They were all petrols back in the 70s. We didn't do much diesel work until they started buying Japanese trucks in the late 70s, mostly really started in the 80s. They were all diesel. So yes, there was petrol everywhere. We wash, it's great stuff, you wash things down with it. Not real good for your hands, but the oil's not a problem. Looks like things have changed. The only thing I can think of is it's the filings. Getting in between the plate and the bed. Beautiful. Locks in beautiful. Now, as I said, that's not the handle. We're going to have to make a handle. I ordered some 25mm black ball with a 6mm thread knobs. They're on a slow boat somewhere, probably trying to get through the turmoil of the South China Sea or something. It's hard to say these days. Anyhow, I still have to make a handle for it. I've still got to clean this whole thing up. There's mess everywhere, and then reassemble it. As you can see, what am I calling it? The carriage lock. The carriage lock is this part's mounted. Can't finish this until I get the lathe back together to turn up a handle. It'll only be just a straight rod for the moment. I haven't got a knurling tool. I haven't got a plastic knob or anything like that, so it'll be just a simple shoulder bolt. Maybe a little bit of taper in there to make it look pretty, but can't do that until I get the lathe back together again. Whilst I've got this thing off, I will look at a perennial problem mini lathe operators have. To change the angle of the compound slide, it's required to back the compound right back, so you can get up the two screws that clamp it down in position. Drilled 2 holes, screw the top, engage in the dovetail. So if that dovetail fitted to the slide goes which way? That way. This is in the top slide. I would have to cut this in half to access that idea of, and I like the idea of just drilling 2 holes in the top. He was going to make a disc that bolted, or has made, a disc that bolts to the top of this plate, because the locking mechanism for this is the fact that those 2 screws pull this plate up and jams this part, and the bottom part uses a taper and 2 pins that come in from the side, and there's a tapered disc, and that lifts those pins as they're screwed in, lift that disc up and lock it in. It's about a 38mm disc that's got to go in there. It's got a bolt to that with a taper on it. And to maintain his tool height and everything, he has to bore a recess into this 38mm and 8mm. Can't touch this thread over here. Scrap that idea. This thing's going back together. I need to make a handle for my carriage lock. I'll have to think about that one. Totally different concept altogether. got to screw this all the way out. I would like to find a way around this problem, but being realistic, how often do I do it? Okay, now to thread it. Beautiful finish. All right. I'll put sort the collets out. 9.4. And here we have the carriage lock installed and completed. So the handle now has got a slot in the end for a screwdriver, so I can get it in there, tighten it up. Moves quite easily. It's out of the way of the tailstock when it comes in. Obviously, if you've got it locked, tailstock can't come in too far, but yeah, I don't see that combination happening. One thing I didn't explain, why I have these two standoffs. These are the gib screws which travel with the slide, and I had to clear those gib screws, so that's why I brought it out off those two standoffs. So that works well. I'm happy with it. Let's get on to something else now. I forgot I had ordered some knobs. It wasn't for this job, it was for something else, a future project. But they came in yesterday. So I'm going to put a black knob on the carriage lock. Okay, that's tight. I'll just move you around here. And now the knob. Now the knob is great. It stops the lever from coming around too far and jamming on the gib screw. And that completes the carriage lock. Beautiful.